Hi, my name is MachineRite, and this is Understanding Fortnite. Today I wanted to go over how to properly VOD review your fights, and just like a step-by-step process that you guys can use when you're doing this. Now this is just going over fights. I'm not going to be going over rotations or anything because those are a little bit different. When you're VOD reviewing and you're watching one of your fights, the first thing you should do is watch what's going on before you even start the fight. So the first thing is you should go and look at your position in zone. So he's about to get into a fight, and this is his position on the map right now, pretty much the opposite side of the zone. He's got about 3 or 4 minutes until the zone closes. The next thing, you want to analyze your stack before you get into the fight. So he's got full health, but he doesn't have any shields. The only healing item he has is some bandages. In any situation where you don't really have the ability to heal yourself properly, you definitely want to make sure that you have some sort of big advantage before you engage into the fight, like landing a snipe or some AR shots. So this is what I would call a neutral engagement. Basically what's happened here is nobody's landed any damage on each other, but both players decide to fight anyway. And in this situation, it's going to be the player with the better loot that has the advantage, or just the more skilled player in general. So yeah, like I mentioned before, this would not be a great fight to take. Just because you guys got kind of caught off guard by each other, and you were already like so close, I would say it would be pretty difficult to run from the fight at this point. So the next thing you want to do after that is start analyzing your trades. I have a whole video on this. There's also like a Google Doc that I've written up that you can have like beside you while you VOD review, just to kind of like have some guidelines about your trades. So right here you have a nice angle on him. He placed a ramp here, which is actually blocking his LOS. He doesn't really have a good line of sight on you, just because the ramp is so close to him. Also, you can potentially like do a crouch peek here and duck underneath this cone. Okay, so first trade is good, 37 damage. But then you have to decide, is 37 damage enough to justify 50-50? And I don't think it is. Technically right now you only have like a 37 health advantage difference. Yeah, you actually just open this up and you push in for a 50-50. You land 60 damage, and he lands less, or he lands about 40 damage. So you've still won the trade, but that trade didn't really need to happen. This guy's at almost white health right now. He's probably at about 110 HP. I still don't think it's justifying a 50-50 yet. So other than trades, I wouldn't really critique mechanical stuff too often, just because it's not really something that you can correct by pointing out in a VOD. You really have to practice your mechanical stuff outside a game. What I will recommend you critique is your crosshair placement. So right here, you edit this open, and he's right down here. You actually look over here while you're peeked out, and he actually shoots way before you. It's a nice kind of shot that you landed here, but make sure you're pointing out your own crosshair placement mistakes. That was not really a peek. You just kind of jumped out, and he actually just missed, and he shot way before you too. The next thing you want to critique is how well you hold your position. So right now you actually have high ground technically, but you get this shot and you block him off with a wall. Right now you should really catch yourself with a ramp or something and try and maintain your position. You have a huge health advantage here. He does not have any one-shot potential with his tac shotgun. Right now, you should really force the 50-50 to finish the fight and stop him from healing, but you just gave up your position. Always be analyzing your positions. Make sure that you're not giving up your position for no reason. If you can keep your position, make sure that you're correcting that and making note of that to yourself. Right now, this is kind of what you want, is to drop him in your box. You have enough health to tank one shot. He's most likely going to shoot first here. You landed 45 for about 100 damage here. So you've actually lost this trade. So yeah, and this situation here actually ties in with trades. So this is his ramp. Right now, this is good. You're holding crosshair placement on him. He opens the ramp with a weapon swap delay, which allows you to shoot first, so that's good. If we're following my trade guide here, the main thing I want to point out is that there is no movement-based peaks here. Every single peak you did was actually protected by a build of some kind, which is never as reliable. Builds are always slower. There's a delay to get to your build. There's server delay to get to your builds. I didn't really see any movement-based peaks here, and that's something you really want to enforce on yourself, is make sure that you're using those peaks, because those are the most reliable ways to win trades. Next, I just want to quickly talk about mindset. First, I just want to show a quick clip.
Hit 34, shit on! Oh my god! Oh my god! No! You don't know what I just did to him! Hit 100, shit on! Shit on hard, bro! Dad! Dad! Let's go! Let's go! Oh! No, I'm insane! Take it off sub mode now! Take it off sub mode now! My ego needs to get big now, mods! Off sub mode! No, you don't know. I just shit on them so hard. And the Lewis kid, I shit on him so.
Right now, the most common mindset I see recommended is to be confident and convince yourself that you're the best player in that game. And a lot of pros use this mindset. I'm going to explain why that may work for them, but not work for you. So I'm going to use Mongrel as an example here. Why does the confidence mindset work for him? So pretend you're Mongrel for a second. What does he have to convince himself to be confident? Well, it's actually very easy for him because he has so many facts and actual things backing him up. For example, he has over $500,000 in earnings. It's very easy to look at that and know that you're capable of performing well. So let's say your goal is to win the World Cup, and you try to convince yourself that beyond any reasonable doubt that you're going to win that. It's very difficult to do this because you don't have any proof backing yourself up. You don't have any real proof that shows that you're capable of this yet. And because you don't have any proof, any confidence that you feel yourself is going to be very weak. Let's assume you go in a game with this fake confidence that you fill yourself with. So you drop, and let's say you get the best loot possible. You get a gold pump and full shields. You go to fight the guy that you drop with. You convince yourself you're the best player in the game. And you're playing great. You're playing the best that you've ever played, but the person that you're playing against still outplays you and still beats you. Now that the fake confidence that you've filled yourself has logic working against it, it's very hard to keep up this act. So if you want to maintain this confidence, you only have a few options. You can blame it on the game. It's okay for the best player to lose if it's not his fault. Or you can just ignore the event altogether. The problem is those two options sabotage any chance of growth that you may have had, and you're not going to learn from those mistakes. The other option is you admit to your mistakes and just accept the loss. But the problem with that is now you've accepted the logic that was working against your confidence, so it becomes even harder to maintain that false confidence. If this was the first game in a tournament, this would be a big deal because the second game going in, you're going to have even less confidence and most likely play even worse than before. If you lose again, it's only going to get exponentially worse, and you're going to keep losing more and more confidence every game that you perform poorly in. So that would be an example of an emotional mindset. An emotional mindset is basically just convincing yourself and using emotions to try and bring the best out of yourself. But the problem with this is, just like your emotions, this is also very inconsistent. If you do bad on the first game, it can affect the whole tournament. If you do good on the first game, then you're doing good. Telling yourself this can put even more pressure on yourself to perform in the first game, and I really think this is just an unhealthy mindset in general. Now, the difference between that mindset being used by you and being used by the pros is the pros have real confidence. They've already performed before, and they already know they can perform, so it's much easier for them to have confidence. Even if they lose, they still have so much other experience and previous performances backing them up. The mindset I would recommend adopting is a rational mindset. This means you're going to try and rely on logic to keep yourself focused and try to eliminate all emotion from your mind. Now, this is really a bigger process than just telling yourself something before a tournament. This is a long process. First, you need to understand what makes a player actually good. You have to go and look and understand exactly what skills and strategies you need to practice to become one of the top players. And once you understand that, you have to build a path for yourself to actually achieve that point. Understanding what you actually need to do in game to perform is a lot better than just hopping into a game and relying on the results to produce themselves. Once you actually get into the tournament, the next step is achieving a meditative and focused state. To do this, the short explanation is to just breathe and really just focus on the sound of your breath and just allow that to overshadow any thoughts and basically just try to have your conscience as clear as possible. Now, when you actually get in game, you're going to need to have stuff on your conscience. It's just impossible not to. So when you're actually in game, you're going to use this meditative state as a filter. You're going to filter out anything that might initiate any kind of emotional thought. So thoughts of winning or losing are big ones. If all you can think about is I need to win, then you're going to have a huge emotional pressure, and the more weight you put on winning, the higher fear you're actually going to have of losing. So I find the best way is to just ignore these two things as much as possible. And the thoughts that you do want to allow in your head are actual rational thoughts. What do I need to do, and what strategies am I going to need to do to play this game? Now, don't think about winning the game. I just go in and tell myself to play with what I've practiced. This allows you to just focus on the steps that you've laid out for yourself and just focus on the things that you know you need to do to win. Right now, if you look at a lot of the esports that have been around for a long time, a lot of the sports psychologists on those teams are enforcing a rational mindset. For example, if you go and look at Team Astralis is the best team in CSGO right now. I also recommend looking at older esports and kind of looking how they have played out and what much more advanced esports are doing. Right now, Fortnite is in a really early state, and if you want to be ahead of the game, don't copy what people are doing right now. Try and figure out what people are going to be doing. Try and figure out what people are going to be doing in the future. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks, guys.